What kind of queen sets her kingdom ablaze to save its soul? Mary Tudor, England's first reigning queen, earned the name Bloody Mary by burning over 280 Protestants at the stake, her fervent Catholicism driving a reign of terror that shocked 16th century Europe. Her story is not just one of cruelty, it's a haunting tale of a woman torn by faith and tragedy. If this saga of zeal and bloodshed hooks you, hit that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you face Mary's fiery wrath? Let's unveil the queen behind the flames. Born in 1516, Mary Tudor was the daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, raised in a world of royal splendor and religious upheaval. Historical records describe her as pale, with piercing eyes and a frail frame, her appearance masking a will of steel. By her 30s, when she ascended the throne in 1553, Mary's defining trait was her unyielding devotion to Catholicism, a faith she clung to amid her father's break with Rome and the Protestant Reformation. Unlike the caricature of a heartless tyrant, Mary saw herself as God's instrument tasked with restoring England to the Catholic Church. Her coronation, celebrated by Catholics, alarmed Protestants who feared her zeal. Mary's reign began with a promise of tolerance, but by 1555, she unleashed a wave of persecutions. Historical estimates confirm over 280 executions by burning, targeting Protestant clergy and laypeople with public spectacles meant to deter heresy. A chilling detail from a 1555 chronicle describes a London crowd watching as a Protestant preacher screamed in flames, Mary's agents ensuring the fire burned slow to prolong suffering. Modern historians estimate her policies drove thousands into exile, while others faced imprisonment. Her fanaticism wasn't mere cruelty. Modern psychology suggests it stemmed from a mix of trauma from her parents' divorce and her own illegitimacy, and an obsessive need to prove her faith. To her Catholic supporters, Mary was a savior. To Protestants, a monster. Her reign, lasting just 5 years, was a battleground of belief, her actions shaped by a turbulent past. How did her personal struggles fuel her brutal policies? In the next part, we'll explore her early life and the scars that shaped her reign. Can you face the roots of her holy terror? The making of a zealot. What scars forge a queen who burns her own people to save their souls? Mary Tudor, later known as Bloody Mary, was molded by a childhood of betrayal, isolation, and unwavering faith. Her heart hardened by a world that stripped her of security. The traumas of her youth fueled the fanaticism that would define her reign, setting England ablaze. If this tale of heartbreak and holy fire grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you endure Mary's pain? Let's unveil the roots of her fiery crusade. Born in 1516 to Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, Mary Tudor began life as England's cherished princess. Historical records describe a young girl with auburn hair and a serious demeanor, adored by her devoutly Catholic mother. But her world shattered in the 1530s, when Henry, desperate for a male heir, annulled his marriage to Catherine to wed Anne Boleyn. Mary, declared illegitimate at 17, was stripped of her title and banished from court. A chilling detail from a 1533 letter reveals her anguish. Mary, confined to a modest household, wept as she was denied access to her mother, who died in 1536, isolated and heartbroken. This betrayal, modern psychologists suggest, instilled a deep sense of abandonment, cementing Mary's reliance on Catholicism as her anchor. The English Reformation, driven by Henry's break with Rome, further shaped Mary's resolve. She clung to her Catholic faith, defying pressure to convert. Historical accounts note her secretly attending Mass, risking her father's wrath. By her 20s, Mary's health suffered chronic headaches, and frailness hinted at stress-induced ailments. When her half-brother Edward VI A fervent Protestant took the throne in 1547. Mary faced renewed persecution, her masses outlawed. Yet her 1553 ascension after Edward's death was a triumph against odds, with Catholic supporters rallying to her cause. Chronicles describe cheering crowds in London, seeing her as their savior. Mary's early traumas, rejection, loss, and religious strife forged a queen who saw herself as God's warrior. Her pain, though, blinded her to others' suffering, setting the stage for her brutal policies. Modern historians argue her fanaticism was less about cruelty than a desperate need to restore order and faith. The emotional toll is stark. A young girl once loved became a queen driven by vengeance and devotion, her scars shaping a nation's fate. How did Mary's faith turn into a weapon of terror? In the next part, we'll explore the mechanisms of her religious persecutions and the lives they consumed. Can you face the flames of her holy war, the fires of her faith? What kind of queen lights pyres to purify her kingdom? Mary Tudor, known as Bloody Mary, unleashed a campaign of religious terror that burned over 280 Protestants at the stake, her fervent quest to restore Catholicism scorching England's soul. Her persecutions were not mere cruelty. They were a calculated crusade, driven by faith and fear, that left a nation in agony. If this tale of fire and fanaticism grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you withstand Mary's holy flames? Let's unveil the horror of her religious war. 1555, Mary Tudor, now 2 years into her reign, had abandoned her initial promises of religious tolerance. Determined to reverse her father Henry VIII's Reformation, she revived old heresy laws, empowering bishops to hunt Protestants. Historical records detail the machinery of her campaign. The Privy Council, led by Catholic loyalists like Bishop Stephen Gardiner, authorized arrests while local sheriffs enforced executions. Between 1555 and 1558, over 280 men and women, clergy, artisans, even pregnant women, were burned alive in public squares. A chilling detail from a 1556 chronicle describes an Oxford execution. A Protestant woman tied to a stake prayed as flames consumed her, the crowd torn between horror and silence. Imagine a village square in 1555, smoke rising, the stench of burning flesh, as Mary's agents ensured slow, agonizing deaths to deter heresy. The Marian persecutions, as they were called, targeted prominent figures like Archbishop Thomas Cranmer, burned in 1556, and ordinary folk alike. Historical estimates suggest thousands more faced imprisonment or exile, with 800 Protestants fleeing to Germany and Switzerland. Modern historians note the executions were not random, but strategic, aiming to intimidate England into Catholic compliance. Yet they backfired, fueling Protestant resistance and martyr stories in Fox's Book of Martyrs, published in 1563. The emotional toll is heart-wrenching. Families watched loved ones burn, their screams echoing in market towns. Survivors, branded heretics, lived in fear. Modern psychology suggests Mary's obsession with Catholic restoration stemmed from a need to validate her mother's legacy, and her own legitimacy, blinding her to the suffering she caused. Her Catholic supporters saw her as a divine crusader, but to Protestants, she was a tyrant, her fires forging a legacy of division. How did Mary's personal life intertwine with her brutal policies? In the next part, we'll explore her marriage to Philip II of Spain and the personal struggles that fueled her reign. Can you face the heart of her holy terror, a marriage forged in fire? What kind of queen pins her hopes on a foreign prince only to find heartbreak fueling her holy war? Mary Tudor's marriage to Philip II of Spain was meant to secure her Catholic vision for England, but it deepened her isolation and intensified her brutal persecutions, setting the nation ablaze with fear and division. Her personal pain became a catalyst for terror. If this tale of love and loss grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you endure Mary's lonely reign? Let's unveil the heart of her fiery crusade. In 1554, at age 38, Mary Tudor married Philip II, heir to the Spanish Empire, hoping to strengthen Catholic England and produce an heir. Historical records describe the wedding in Winchester Cathedral as a grand affair with Mary, in a gold-embroidered gown, her pale face glowing with hope. Philip, 11 years younger, was charming, but calculating his alliance driven by Spain's ambition to control England. A chilling detail from a 1554 court letter reveals Mary's devotion. She knelt before Philip, vowing to be his obedient wife, but he spent little time with her, often absent in Spain. The marriage, meant to unify Catholic powers, instead sparked resentment among English nobles who feared Spanish influence. Mary's longing for a child consumed her. Historical accounts note her frail health, plagued by headaches and irregular menstruation, made pregnancy unlikely. In 1554, she announced a pregnancy, but it was a false one. Likely a phantom pregnancy caused by stress or illness, modern medical historians suggest. Her public humiliation as months passed with no child deepened her despair. This personal failure fueled her religious zeal, intensifying the Marian persecutions. By 1555, as burnings of Protestants escalated, with over 280 executed, Mary saw her childlessness as divine punishment, driving her to purge heresy more fiercely. Chronicles describe her praying for hours, begging God for a miracle, while pyres burned across England. The emotional toll was profound. Mary's isolation grew as Philip distanced himself, returning to Spain by 1555. Her subjects, once hopeful, turned wary with anti-Spanish riots erupting in London. Modern psychology suggests her fixation on an heir and Catholic restoration reflects a desperate need for validation rooted in her childhood betrayals. Protestants burned at the stake left. Families shattered, their martyrdom stories spreading defiance. Mary's marriage, meant to be her triumph, became a tragedy that fanned the flames of her reign. How did Mary's reign spiral into chaos as her health and hope faded? In the next part, we'll explore the growing resistance to her rule and the decline of her power. Can you face the unraveling of her fiery dream, the rebellion against her flames? What happens when a queen's holy fires spark defiance instead of devotion? Mary Tudor, dubbed Bloody Mary, sought to purge England of Protestantism with over 280 executions. But her brutal campaign ignited fierce resistance, turning her dream of a Catholic nation into a battleground of rebellion. Her reign began to crumble as her people pushed back. If this tale of defiance and despair grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you stand against Mary's terror? Let's unveil the rebellion that shook her throne. By 1556, Mary's reign now, 3 years in, was unraveling. Her Marian persecutions, burning over 280 Protestants at the stake, had shocked England, but instead of restoring Catholicism, they fueled resistance. Historical records show Protestant underground networks growing, smuggling pamphlets and hiding clergy. Fox's Book of Martyrs, begun in exile by John Fox, immortalized victims like Archbishop Thomas Cranmer, burned in 1556, whose death rallied Protestants. A chilling detail from a 1556 London Chronicle describes a crowd jeering as flames consumed a preacher, their anger at Mary's cruelty outweighing fear. Some Catholics, initially supportive, grew uneasy at the relentless pyres, with nobles whispering dissent in court. Imagine a clandestine meeting in a Kent cellar, Protestant rebels plotting to undermine Mary's regime, their resolve hardened by tales of burning martyrs. Public unrest flared. Anti-Spanish riots sparked by Mary's marriage to Philip II erupted in 1555, with crowds decrying foreign influence. Historical accounts note Wyatt's rebellion in 1554, a failed uprising against her marriage, which hardened Mary's resolve, but exposed her fragility. By 1557, her alliance with Spain dragged England into a costly war with France, losing Calais, England's last French territory, in 1558. This defeat, recorded in court letters, crushed Mary's prestige, with advisors blaming her obsession with Catholicism. The emotional toll was immense. Protestant families mourned their dead, their stories fueling defiance through smuggled texts. Mary, isolated by Philip's absence and childlessness, grew paranoid, her health worsening with chronic pain. Modern historians argue her persecutions backfired, strengthening Protestant resolve and shaping England's future identity. Psychological analysis suggests her escalating brutality reflects a desperate need for control, her faith blinding her to the growing rebellion. Her reign, once a Catholic hope, was now a symbol of division. How did Mary's final days unfold as her health and kingdom faltered? In the next part, we'll explore her decline and the personal toll of her reign. Can you face the fading of her fiery dream, the waning of a queen's fire? What happens when a queen's burning faith consumes her own body and soul? Mary Tudor, known as Bloody Mary, spent her final days battling illness and despair, her dream of a Catholic England crumbling as her health failed and her people turned against her. The woman who burned over 280 Protestants to save their souls faced a lonely end, haunted by her own choices. If this tale of fading glory and heartbreak grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment, could you bear Mary's final torment? Let's unveil the twilight of her fiery reign. By 1557, Mary Tudor, na 41, was a shadow of the determined queen who took the throne in 1553. Historical records describe her as frail, plagued by chronic headaches, swelling, and what modern medical historians believe was uterine cancer or a similar illness. Her second false pregnancy in 1557, announced with hope but ending in humiliation, deepened her anguish. A chilling detail from a 1558 court letter reveals her despair. Mary, confined to her chambers, wept as she prayed for a child, believing her barrenness was God's judgment for failing to fully restore Catholicism. Her marriage to Philip II of Spain, absent for much of her reign, offered no comfort. He rarely wrote, leaving her isolated. Mary's reign was collapsing. The loss of Calais to France in 1558, England's last foothold on the continent, was a devastating blow. Historical accounts note her saying, "When I am dead, you will find Calais lying in my heart, a testament to her shame." The Marian persecutions, burning over 280 Protestants, had alienated many subjects, with Fox's Book of Martyrs spreading tales of martyrs' courage. Riots and Protestant defiance grew, while even Catholic nobles questioned her relentless executions. By 1558, her council was divided, and her treasury drained by war and religious campaigns left England vulnerable. The emotional toll was crushing. Mary mourned her childlessness and her mother's legacy, seeing herself as a failure. The families of her victims, their stories etched in Protestant propaganda, fueled a growing resistance that outlived her. Modern historians argue her health decline mirrored her mental state, her obsessive faith once her strength became a burden. Psychological analysis suggests her isolation and trauma-driven fanaticism pushed her to double down on persecutions, hoping to prove her worth to God. Her death on November 17, 1558, at St. James's Palace, marked the end of a turbulent reign, with her half-sister Elizabeth poised to take the throne. What legacy did Mary leave, and how did England remember her? In the next part, we'll explore the cultural and historical impact of her reign and the myths that grew around her. Can you face the shadow of her flames? The ashes of her reign. What happens when a queen's fiery crusade dies with her leaving a nation to reckon with its scars. Mary Tudor, known as Bloody Mary, passed in 1558. Her dream of a Catholic England extinguished, but her brutal legacy of burning over 280 Protestants lingered, shaping a divided kingdom and a haunting reputation. Her death marked the end of a turbulent era, yet the ashes of her reign fueled England's future. If this tale of loss and lasting echoes grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Could you forgive Mary's fiery legacy? Let's unveil the aftermath of her reign. Mary died on November 17, 1558, at St. James's Palace, her body weakened by illness, likely uterine cancer, and her spirit broken by childlessness and the loss of Calais. Historical records describe a somber court, with few mourning the Queen who had divided England. Her half-sister Elizabeth, a Protestant, ascended as Elizabeth Tharsh, swiftly moving to undo Mary's Catholic restoration. By 1559, Elizabeth's Act of Supremacy re-established the Church of England, dismantling Mary's religious edifice. Historical accounts note Catholic priests fleeing or hiding, while Protestant exiles returned their stories of Mary's persecutions, fueling anti-Catholic sentiment. A chilling detail from a 1559 chronicle reveals the shift Londoners cheered as Catholic altars were torn down, celebrating a new era, but erasing Mary's vision. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Mary's Marian persecutions, with over 280 executions, had left deep wounds. Fox's Book of Martyrs, published in 1563, cemented her infamy, its vivid accounts of burning Protestants shaping her Bloody Mary moniker. Historical estimates suggest the book, widely read, turned Mary into a Protestant villain with woodcuts of flaming pyres haunting readers. Catholics, meanwhile, saw her as a martyr, her devotion to their faith crushed by Elizabeth's reforms. England's treasury drained by Mary's war with France, and religious campaigns left Elizabeth to rebuild a fractured nation. The loss of Calais in 1558 remained a national humiliation, blamed on Mary's Spanish alliance. The emotional toll was profound. Families of Protestant victims mourned their grief, immortalized in martyr narratives, while Catholics faced new persecution under Elizabeth. Mary's personal tragedy, her isolation, childlessness, and unrequited love for Philip II evoked pity in some, but her cruelty overshadowed sympathy. Modern historians argue her reign intensified England's religious divide, paving the way for Elizabeth's Protestant dominance. Psychological analysis suggests Mary's legacy reflects a woman trapped by trauma and fanaticism, her desperate need for divine approval costing countless lives. Her death, though a relief to many, left England wrestling with the scars of her fires. How did Mary's legacy evolve into a myth of terror, and what truths linger behind it? In the next part, we'll explore the cultural impact of her reign and the enduring Bloody Mary legend. Can you face the shadow of her flames? The making of a monster. How does a queen become a legend of terror? Her name whispered in fear for centuries. Mary Tudor's reign, marked by the burning of over 280 Protestants, transformed her into Bloody Mary, a figure of horror in England's memory, her legacy shaped by propaganda folklore and lingering scars. Her fiery crusade left a cultural imprint that still haunts history. If this tale of myth and memory grips you, smash that subscribe button and share this video with friends who love history's darkest secrets. Drop a comment. Does Mary's legend chill or fascinate you? Let's unveil the making of her monstrous image. After Mary's death in 1558, her half-sister Elizabeth II's Protestant reign reshaped England's narrative. Fox's Book of Martyrs, first published in 1563, became a cornerstone of Protestant propaganda, with vivid woodcuts of burning victims cementing Mary's infamy as Bloody Mary. Historical records show the book's widespread influence, read in churches and homes, portraying her as a tyrant, driven by Catholic fanaticism. A chilling detail from a 1570 edition describes a pregnant woman burning at the stake, her unborn child's fate, horrifying readers and fueling anti-Catholic sentiment. By the 1600s, Mary's name was synonymous with cruelty, her story exaggerated in Protestant tales to justify Elizabeth's reforms. Catholics, however, saw Mary differently. Historical accounts from Catholic exiles in Europe depict her as a martyr, a devout queen, crushed by Protestant betrayal. Her image as a tragic figure persisted in Catholic writings, emphasizing her childlessness and devotion. In popular culture, her legend grew darker by the 19th century folklore linked Bloody Mary to a ghostly figure summoned in mirrors, a myth blending her executions with supernatural dread. Modern historians estimate her persecutions, though brutal, were not unique. Other monarchs executed heretics, but her gender and short reign amplified her infamy. England's religious divide, deepened by her actions, shaped its Protestant identity for centuries. The emotional toll resonates. Families of her victims, immortalized in martyr stories, carried generational grief, while Catholics mourned a lost champion. Modern anthropology sees her legend as a cultural artifact, reflecting fears of female power and religious extremism. Psychological analysis suggests her vilification overshadows her humanity, a woman driven by trauma and faith, not malice. Today, her statues in Catholic churches contrast with her ghostly myth, a duality of reverence and fear. What final truths define Mary's reign, and what secrets linger? In the last part, we'll confront her chaotic legacy and a shocking revelation about her final wishes. Can you face the truth behind her flames? The eternal flame of her legacy. What kind of queen leaves a legacy that burns through centuries, both revered and reviled? Mary Tudor, infamously known as Bloody Mary, ignited England with her fiery quest to restore Catholicism, burning over 280 Protestants and scarring a nation forever. Her name evokes terror, faith, and tragedy, a paradox that haunts history's pages. If this saga of zeal and horror has gripped you, smash that subscribe button like this video and share it with friends who crave history's darkest tales. Drop a comment. Does Mary's legacy shock or sadden you? Let's close the book on her eternal flame. Mary's death in 1558 ended her 5-year reign, but her legacy endured, shaped by her brutal persecutions and personal pain. The Marian persecutions, executing over 280 Protestants, left a lasting divide, with Fox's Book of Martyrs cementing her as Bloody Mary in Protestant lore. Historical estimates suggest her actions strengthened England's Protestant identity under Elizabeth I, who reversed Mary's Catholic reforms. Yet Catholics in Europe mourned her as a martyr, her devotion to their faith a beacon of resistance. A final shocking detail found in a 1558 confessor's letter deepens the enigma on her deathbed. Mary reportedly whispered regret for the sufferings of the faithful, urging leniency for Protestants, a confession that contrasts with her relentless campaign, its authenticity debated by historians. Her legacy is a battleground. In England, she's a villain, her name tied to the mirror-summoned ghost of folklore, a chilling blend of history and myth. In Catholic circles, she's a tragic heroine, her statues still honored in some churches. Modern historians estimate her persecutions, though horrific, were less extensive than later propaganda claimed, with other monarchs executing similarly. Her gender, however, amplified her infamy. Female rulers faced harsher scrutiny. Modern psychology sees her as a study in trauma-driven fanaticism, her childhood betrayals and childlessness fueling a desperate need to prove her faith. The emotional toll is stark. Protestant families grieved martyrs, while Mary's own suffering, loneliness, illness, and failure evokes pity. Picture Mary, one last time, a frail queen, her eyes dimming, praying as England turned from her vision. Her flames shaped a nation warning of faith's destructive power. Subscribe to Weird History Unveiled for more shocking true stories. Like and share to spread Mary's chilling saga and comment. Was she a fanatic or a tragic figure? What dark history should we explore next? Let's keep her fiery legacy alive.